Hello, anybody who's accidentally coming across the fact that I went live today. I have my good buddy from Florida, one of the two that helped me get started in blacksmithing,
Oh,
Earl.
no. I'm not taking blame for any of this.
Earl's here. He and I just finished the cross-country trek a couple of days ago. We got stuck in Wyoming. I'll go more into that in a little bit. I'll probably repeat myself on the Saturday, the scheduled live stream. But for anybody who happens to stop in, you'll get to hear some of that story. But one of the wonderful things that happened is before we took off from Florida, Earl said, "Hey, have you worked with coal?" And I'm like, "No, only charcoal so far. Though I'm told the forge can do coal." And suddenly, 2 bags of coal showed up on his doorstep and went into the back of the trailer and made the trip cross country.
Don't ask questions.
He's been teaching me all the things I need to know about coal. There's lots to know. Things I don't yet that I, never had a reason to learn. I'm going to bring you to the anvil to show you some things. So this is the raw coal. I'm going to show you most of the stuff I got is this size. Little pea chunks. Which is perfectly fine because these, not one of these, but these turned into this. Which they look the same size, but the weight is extremely different because this one's been cooked. It's now like popcorn. So instead of having a big chunk of coal, which won't do a whole lot for me right out the gate, it slowly cooks, becomes like this, and then this is what can actually melt my steel really fast.
Yeah. So the light and airy stuff is very light and airy, like a marshmallow. That's called coke. And
Yep.
that's what actually burns. The coal has to be cooked into coke to burn. All right, you got a really hot piece of metal right now.
Okay, but unfortunately it needs to be hot.
More?
Oh well, back into here, I think is where I need it to to be able to bend it, right?
So
Because this is going to become our.
Okay. There you
So
go.
further in.
A little further, yeah.
I can't believe how fast this 1/2 inch round just got that hot.
So
Oh, 5/8 inch. Sorry, it's even thicker than I thought.
So one of the benefits of coal over charcoal is that pound for pound, a pound of charcoal versus a pound of coal gives you way more BTUs of heat than you can get with charcoal.
And he's not having to push nearly as much air through there as I was with my charcoal either to get to the heat I want.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're real hot in the fire.
This is where we get to test whether or not these fire bricks and the insulation underneath the kale wool is doing its job, so it doesn't burn out the bottom of my forge. I'm going to have to find a source of coal in the area. Obviously, the whole reason for this is being charcoal is I got plenty of wood around, scrap wood and things like that.
Which is very, very much acceptable. Lots of smiths use it. I've used it in the past plenty of times. But once I made the switch to coal, there's really no comparison to the amount of heat you can get.
Yeah.
Which is, maximize your work.
Yep. Let me go ahead and switch back over here for a minute while we're just chatting and talking. I can put this back into the fire.
Yep.
And you can see with my camera at the fire that there's 2 fires basically going on. There's the one where the heat, the real amount of heat is happening here at the front, but there's also one in the back where it's basically cooking the coal into coke.
Into coke. And we will continually drag that coke into the fire as we need it. So right now this is a pretty young fire. We've got lots of coke. We got started probably 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Getting the fire going and
I'm playing with a new way of having my camera over here for the fire, folks. That way I can just not have something in my way, not have to have the camera stand there, and yet let you guys still enjoy your time around the fire with me.
If we're getting there, I think that's probably where you want it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and now one of the neat things Earl tells me about coal, coke especially after it's, because it's where the fire's coming, where the heat's coming from, is if you don't turn the crank, it's not really going to burn down the fuel. It'll basically actually go out without having forced air.
It'll go out all by itself eventually, yeah.
So we're going to come over here. We're going to take and use this nice new
Brand new
hammer that I got. We're going to just bend this around. The idea is to start having. Oh yeah, this thing is a beast.
That's a beast piece of metal. Yeah, that's a nice piece of metal. There you go.
No, I was talking about the hammer.
Oh,
the hammer is gorgeous.
The hammer's a great hammer. Very pretty hammer. I have hammer envy right now.
This is a hammer from Fire Creek Forge. He started doing production of hammers, and I was like, well, I need to get a hold of one of these. It's a short handle, so more ergonomic.
What's the weight on that? 2.5?
3 pounds, I think, is what I asked for. Yeah. So beautiful. That moved the metal like it was nothing. How do I want to do this? All I'm doing now is just trying to make a more graceful curve. It's kind of pointless. It's not necessary, but I like to make things pretty, not just useful.
There you go. That's a little better.
Yep. So there we go. Now, all that's going to do is be my new bending jig in my post leg vise. It was something I saw another smith do, and I was like, why haven't I done that? That's the simplest bending jig I've ever seen. So there we go. And I'm not worried about hardness or anything, so we're just going to quench that and cut it off. And as John Switzer taught, use the back of your hand. There's still a little bit of heat in there, but nothing that can hurt me.
Yeah, I would not.
It's warm, but not hot.
See, my philosophy, it's always hot.
Yes.
If you
That's why what he taught was the back of the hand, because you're more prone to want to grab if you use the front of your hand.
Burn in your fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I just assume it's hot. And
well, that's because
the
first rule of blacksmith is what?
All metal is hot.
Yep.
Oh, now we're getting some fancy tools, I think.
Yeah.
Might get maybe a modern hacksaw.
Modern hacksaw. Now, if I can remember where the hell I left it last time. Could have sworn I put it on my shelf here. No? Oh, there it is. Modern hacksaw coming right up.
So for those of you who don't know me, which is quite a few of you, I do a lot of medieval reenactment, and one of the things that we do is we have a forge that is powered by a bellows. It's actually a double-chambered bellows.
That's how I learned it.
Right? He was a bellows monkey for a long time, which is what we call the newbies.
Yep.
And so our forge does not have the benefit of a crank blower. We have to do it the old-fashioned way with the pumping the bellows and getting it hot. We didn't have modern bandsaws like you've got.
No, we did have a bandsaw, thankfully. Yeah, the problem is that I've just got it. It's too long for me to manage easily. Get in the groove. There we go.
There you go. Put it up against one of the edges. There you go.
might be time to charge the battery. There we
There
go.
we go. Set that to the side.
And now, simple. I'll just take you over here to show you. Why I didn't think about this sooner, I don't know. But post leg vise. Let's go ahead and tilt this. Meet.
Perfect.
Bending jig. And now I should have an easier time with my traditional starter project, which is, every live stream, a leaf, key ring, dangle. So, yeah, good. That was incredible about how hot that got and how fast and easy it was.
Yes.
So, let's go back to the... I can't see my cursor.
Oh, we lost the cursor. It's around there somewhere.
There it is.
There it is.
This back over here. Point it back at the anvil. Good.
Oh, and today's commentary brought to you by Bombastic Brewing. So, one of the things that Jack and I share is a love of beer. If you know Jack, you know how much he loves beer.
Yeah, of all
love-
types and
And flavors.
flavors,
Flavors.
unless you're talking about the traditional American pablum.
Yeah, no. So, we're a bit of a beer snob set. Very much beer snobs.
Yep. So
And I'm okay with that, being a beer snob.
mine is a Grizzly Snacks Berry Sour. Beer made with blackberries, raspberries, and marionberries, which are from here in Washington.
What's a marionberry?
It's a type of blackberry
Okay.
native to Washington State.
And for those of you who don't know, I'm from South Florida, so we don't really have berries. We have key limes. If you like key lime pie, I can set you up with a good one. But we don't really have berries here in South Florida. Nor do we have cold weather, which is the reason for my hoodie.
And here I'm thinking I need to get into short sleeves, and he's
Short
still got
sleeves,
two
yeah.
layers on.
Yeah. So
So what I just finished off was actually a carbonated tea drink. Just something we came across and found that we can order them online. They have all sorts of different flavors and so forth. I can't see if you can see that, but the brand is Sparkling Botanicals. So just so you know, I'm not like slamming beers here on YouTube.
no, that'll be me.
Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
Twitch.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So all the different places, but I don't remember if I've had this one yet. Oh, that's good. That's good. Nice sour, good berry notes. I was worried, not that I would dislike it, but right now it's not what I want. I was worried it was going to be one of those fruit smoothie kind of drinks. And so those are also quite fun. Anybody who says they don't like beer, my answer is always,
You haven't tried the right one.
yeah, there are so many things out there that are beer that folks don't know about yet.
So we're gonna
And they're not all IPAs.
Yeah. So we're gonna feed some more coal into the fire on the backside.
He's going to try not to burn himself while he's at it.
Yeah.
About the one thing I'm going to have to figure out is
A scoop.
see if if I'm going to cut open a can and make it, or if I'm going to tear apart a side of a washing machine. I think I have one sitting, and use some sheet metal off of it.
Or you can go on Amazon and buy a ice scoop for like an ice machine.
As long as it's metal, I don't. Right? That's the big thing. If I don't.
Well, right now the fire's not really all that hot.
Okay.
There's some heat there if you dig your hand down in there. But like right now, it's warm. It
Hold on.
feels real
Let's get the
comfortable.
camera so you can
Yeah,
see him putting
my
his hand in there.
fingers, Yeah, my fingers are in the fire, but it's not real hot. The coke is cooking, but the one of the benefits of using coal is if we stop right now, this coal will just go out. It's got to have a constant source of oxygen. It doesn't want to burn real well until you give it some oxygen. So
Now-
one of the things you'll see us doing is cranking with nothing in the fire just to keep the fire going.
Yeah. Now you're seeing a lot of smoke. That's the coking process. There's sulfur in the coal
Yeah,
that gets cooked off, and that's the stink that people think of when they think of blacksmithing.
yeah. I wish we had smell-o-vision because it's a smell you can only get this way.
Yeah.
Probably not healthy for our lungs, but here we are.
And while some would argue it's a dying craft, I know a lot of blacksmiths are here in the Seattle area, and most of them are using coal for the purpose, or they've switched over to propane. They both have their place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Propane is constrained by the area that you can actually work in effectively with propane. Whereas this, if I wanted to take the hood off, I get a wide open area I can still forge in. And so there's that. On the other hand, propane, when properly balanced, airflow to it, is a neutral. You don't have to work at making a neutral fire. So that's why a lot of folks like to do their
with-
Damascus and stuff inside of propane.
Well, with propane, with coal, we will end up with fire scale, which is the surface of a metal oxidizing, rusting, if you will. It's oxidizing, but it will oxidize very quickly.
Yeah.
And you'll get a lot of black, flaky stuff that comes off. With a propane fire, because the fire is so pure, if you will, you don't get a whole lot of fire scale with propane.
Because it's basically the
very
scale, like you said, is rust.
Right.
Rust is the combination of steel
And
and
oxygen.
air. Yeah, oxygen.
Whereas with a propane forge, the oxygen is consumed before it reaches the metal.
Yep.
To turn into the heat. So I own a propane forge. I love my propane forge. It has its uses, but my love is always going to be coal.
And I'm going to end up getting mine back and up and running again. I've pulled out the burners in mine.
I think he's got some.
This burner here is plugged somehow inside here, and this is not a serviceable burner.
Yeah, I think it's a substandard burner. There are other better burners available online, and I've suggested that he look at them.
Yep.
Ones that can be repaired, whereas this one, the nozzles where it gets really hot are welded in place.
Yep.
Hard to replace without basically cutting it off.
And the jet that's up in here is also welded in place.
Yeah. So
here.
Not
So-
not designed to be serviced.
Yeah.
And we want to do this again next week. So you want serviceable equipment. And that's, I think, is the biggest thing about being non-substandard. It's not serviceable.
Yep.
So here we go, cranking the fire again. Keep it going.
Looks like we're already seeing a delay in this one. Let's see if I can do anything to fix that. Well, this is real time over here, and it looks real time on my camera. The feed to there appears to have a delay. Are you seeing it when you do any kind of gesticulation?
A third of a second, maybe.
Yeah.
A little bit of delay, but
Yeah.
nothing that would. See?
Yeah. That actually looks like it made it worse.
Okay.
Let's go over here and see if
Stand by.
best quality.
Yeah, maybe lower the quality a little bit.
Well, I did lower the quality and it became worse, so
Okay. Maybe we're going the wrong direction. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that's any better.
well, we're going to do this really quickly then and see if maybe just turning it off for a minute. Closing the app. Closing it hard. start it up again. Because inside the app, it seems to be doing just fine. Now we'll turn it back on again.
Oh, wow. That's a big delay now.
Yeah, it is.
All right, folks.
You're just going to have to
Deal with the delay.
mainly deal with watching us where the real fun is anyway. Which is there.
That's pretty good. Oh, that's
Yeah,
real good.
yeah.
That's all
The
fine.
GoPro does fine. I think I'm just going to have to take the biggest reason I use the iPhone is it has some great cameras. And the company that makes the software I'm using is Elgato, which is extremely well known for, for doing video stuff, but clearly it's not doing a great job. So I just want to show for those who are interested, there's your Fire Creek Forge touch mark.
And we didn't get paid for that.
No, I spent good money for this hammer. It's just really feels great in the hand.
Yeah, that's a nice hammer. I held it.
So Earl,
Haven't used it yet, but
what are you going to make?
I don't know. What
I want you to get a chance to try out Alex Steele's.
his very fancy
Yeah.
anvil here. I don't know what do we want to make.
Well,
I could do my version of a leaf.
Absolutely, why not? But here's the only chisel I have. This is the reason why my leaves don't have chiseled marks. So.
Well, we could fix that.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. We can do that with them. We can do it with
Do you
those.
want files to fix it, or do you want to?
No. We'll work with what we got here.
Okay.
So the file is you can't see it. The camera doesn't show the resolution, but the file is not even on both sides, which makes it a little difficult to use.
And that is the way it came, by the way. Well, I mean, overuse, it's probably declined,
I'm sure.
is what I'm saying.
It's still, I think it's sharp enough.
Okay.
We don't take up time. So yeah, we could do a leaf. So
Sure.
what do you got? I can make a leaf out of.
Well, you could always start with playing with a railroad spike, or you could use a railroad spike that actually has a head and use the tongs that are made for it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Or
No,
I've got two different.
We'll use a railroad spike. So we're going to use a railroad spike.
Here's
Bust off some of
here's the ugly tongs that I did, drawing out and stuff like that from blanks.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, they can get nice and tight in there if you needed.
Purpose-built tongs.
Yep.
Which blacksmiths are famous for doing stuff purpose-built. So I'm going to use, well, all right, so I'm going to try and upset this a little bit. Take
Take the tip off.
The tip down.
Yep.
So let's see how well we can upset here. This is not my forge, not my hammer, so.
And I have other hammers for the same reason we have multiple tongs.
Yeah, I know.
So if you didn't want to use his,
I saw actually.
Sorry?
I think I want this. I think I want this.
You want to try the Hoppy? I love that one. So.
I think I want this hammer. That's
Okay.
a nice little hammer.
Yep.
Looks like stainless.
Well, again,
Maybe.
that's what this looked like when it came too, was stainless.
Well, stainless has a pretty high chromium
Yeah.
component, which will rust, but it's all surface rust. It's not,
Yeah.
nothing crazy.
I buffed it out before. I've got to go and get myself some WD-40. I might actually walk out of the forge and go see if I have some in the shop.
I'll keep the folks entertained.
Okay.
I'll tell ugly stories about you from our misspent youth.
Oh, you could tell them how I'm the worst travel planner ever.
Oh, worse, do not let Jack make your travel plan. Do not. You'll end up in Rollins, Wyoming for like a week.
All right.
Nothing against Rollins, Wyoming. They're very nice people there. But yeah, it's not... Oh, so they can't hear me because I don't have a mic?
They can hear you because the mic is set fairly well,
Okay.
but they hear me better.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we're
I'm
gonna
like talking to myself, I guess.
we're gonna do this,
Clip it there. Oh, that'll work. Yeah, there we go.
and now we've got a mic for everybody in the room. Go ahead and say a few more things so I can see if they can hear you.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, the green line there. Okay, I see it. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Well, the wind blew things a little bit just second there. Let's see, where can I put this?
Put it right there. That's fine.
Well, it won't stay.
I can talk louder.
I can also turn up the mic.
God knows I can be loud.
When you're working in Ren, sometimes it's a job requirement. We can go like that.
Oh, I don't want to over. Oh, I don't
No,
want to
it's
start
not.
clipping.
It's not even getting into the yellow yet.
Okay. Yeah, so I got my spike here. Gonna get the tip hot, just a tip, and I'm gonna squish it down, which is called upsetting. When you take and make something thicker.
And I'm gonna be right back.
Oh, this is funny. Jack is running. I didn't know Jack could run. It's not much of a run. He ain't gonna win the Boston Marathon that way, but he's running. Yep, cranking away, just cranking. Getting there. For those of you looking at the fire cam, you can see that, probably see that really bright orange section there in the middle. That's where the heat is the most intense. It's probably around 2,300 degrees right now. I don't want it too hot because I don't want to melt the railroad spike, but I do want it to soak up some of that, a good part of that heat. See if I can get these tongs to work. These are kind of goofy tongs, but I've never used a set of tongs like this, but they're definitely usable for a railroad spike. All right, so there's, oh, you probably saw some sparklers there. Got too hot, but that's okay. So we're gonna take it over here. I'm gonna set it down. Oh, this is a nice hammer. All right, so what we're doing is we're shortening the tip. Hopefully, I'll end up getting it kind of square-ish. Not real critical to make it square, but
Hey, Trail Dust. Hey, Gideon's there.
Gideon!
Oh, so all this time I've not had the chat window open where I can see it.
Gideon! Get back to work.
Dang, nabbit.
Dude, it's so. Oh no, yeah, it's after 5 o'clock. I'm sorry. See, I'm on Florida time, so it's like I don't even know what time it is in Florida right now. I don't care because I got
6:35.
6:35. So yeah, Gideon's far done with work.
Yep. And I'm gonna fix the other problem by changing the camera release. So iPhone. Using that camera.
Whoop. There I go, spilling some of my cold out.
I don't know how you deal with that. Oh wait, just let it.
You just
cool
let it.
off a little bit
Just
and
let
then
it
pick
rip. Yeah.
So on there, instead of heat hot cam, because obviously its delay is so bad it's ridiculous. We're gonna go to this one. Hi. And now, finally, Earl will see what I actually am looking at typically when I'm staring at this.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. See, I haven't been out here. I haven't been out here in Kent for way too long. So
there we go. Nice positioning. Actually, you're shorter than me. You gotta do it like that, or else they'll never see
why are you
my
gonna
head.
be like that?
And then we're gonna go over here, and we say Smithy focus.
Oh, okay, Steven, brother.
Yes.
Okay, so you those of you that can see the chat, Steven Silvers is my brother. He's my baby brother by 9 years. copious amounts of spooning. So yeah, not so much spooning this week because we're warm and dry now. So there may have been spooning last week when we were stuck in Rawlins, Wyoming.
It was so windy and cold there. Pretty place. Wouldn't want to live there.
No,
I will say, nice people.
very nice people.
They actually have
Ex-
craft beers there, so I could
Yeah,
actually do that.
They have a couple of craft beers. Nothing really exceptional that I remember,
No.
but nonetheless, they do make beer in Wyoming, and they make a lot of beef. Oh, you too close?
No.
Oh,
it,
we
it
fell
just
over.
tips over.
Got it. Okay, didn't even notice.
And if I move it out here,
Which might be better, actually.
you might not end up hitting it so often. We'll see.
Nope, I got in the wrong spot in the fire here. Whoop.
And I brought this out so we can clean, do things with. Oh, great! It's got the. This is the one with the bad. I had a bad batch of WD-40 cans. This one, the top came off.
I'm not entirely sure there was a bad batch, other than, okay, so I lost my piece in the fire, so I need a different pair of tongs to grab them out. Grab these. So this is my first time using this forge, or this the coal pot. A little different than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Definitely usable though. There we go.
Alright. Well, I may end up having to use, we'll see. I'll let it sit on there a little bit.
Alright,
Don't
let's
worry
set
about it.
this right here for now. I need to turn the fire a little bit. So one of the things you have to do with coal is once the coke starts cooking down, it gets very chunky. You saw the chunk earlier before. And they tend to not like to burn so much if they get real thick. So you have to constantly kind of break them up.
Remember when I said they cool off fast? That's the stuff that fell out of the forge earlier.
Oh well, here's stuff that's in the forge right now. It cools off really quick. So, because it's so light and airy.
And if you're not throwing air at it, it doesn't burn.
It doesn't burn. It quits burning. So next time, when Jack cranks up the forge, it'll be a lot easier for him to start the fire, because we were starting with raw coal, which takes a while to cook down to coke. Yeah, I think we're good now. Let me put this back in there. I do like these tongs for.
Yeah, there are two different styles I've seen of railroad spike tongs. That's one of them. Takes a little getting used to them.
I don't use a lot of railroad spikes because they're hard to come by in Florida. No, they're easy to come by if you want to pay for them.
Well, that's what I did.
Okay.
I bought them on eBay.
Yeah,
back
you
when I
did.
was first getting started, and I still have half box full of them
Okay.
because I hadn't figured out what projects I want to do with them yet. I've got some. I made a bottle opener with one. I've made a little stabby pokey thing with one. I wouldn't call it a knife because one should never actually make real knives with railroad spike. They just don't hold an edge.
Yeah, it's not good metal.
But you'll make a perfectly good dagger with one of them
Oh yeah, you could.
because they're only there for stabbing people with.
You can stab somebody with a railroad spike. Just gotta push harder. You crank this damn thing for a while.
I'll crank it.
I've been cranking all damn day.
You're going the
Oh,
wrong
that
way.
would make sense. Yeah.
Look how much more air goes in
I
there when
see
you
that. Yes.
turn it the right way. You might then get things hot now. Here, first off, take the tool rest out.
Yeah,
You
I
don't need
think
the rest
that.
of the tool.
I think that is in the way. Yes. All right, there we go. I think I got a good spot right there.
The one thing I've noticed with this particular forge that I have not been very successful with is working multiple things at the same time.
Yes.
Because of the V
Because
shape,
it's so
everything
narrow.
wants to come pulling
Come
everything
together.
together.
Yes.
And so,
So we've all heard the expression, multiple irons in the, too many irons in the fire. That's directly from blacksmithing. So sometimes I make tent stakes. I'll make fire pokers, and if I'm making a multiple of them, I will have multiple irons in the fire.
yep.
And you have to kind of, you start with the one, this is how it works for me. I start with the one on the right, work it, move it to the left, take the next one that's now hot, bang on it, do whatever I want to it, move it to the left, and they kind of rotate through the fire that way. Oh, we might
That's
be too
probably
hot.
plenty hot now.
I'm saying we might be too hot there. Now that we're
Yeah,
cranking.
because the color's wonderful now.
Now, you know what?
That's,
Give us some.
you're getting close.
Give us some.
Yep. Knock apart this piece here.
Yeah, so coke. So working with coal has a lot of benefits, but it's a different way of working that you have to get used to working with the coke, because it wants to congeal together as like a big huge marshmallow, and you have to break them up so that you get some good fire. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, so got the beer can here.
Bombastic should be paying us a.
They should be giving us something, or at least you, because it's your gig, not mine. I'm just a guest. All right, so
During the morning stream, obviously, I'm not typically enjoying a beer during blacksmithing.
why?
Well, number one,
Are you godless?
No, but I'm trying to make this a family-friendly show. So.
Oh, okay. Oh,
you know.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it
No,
was.
no, it's all good. This is an evening show, so
Oh,
I may just end up having a morning show and an evening show. So
hey, I'd watch it. It's easier for me to watch the evening show, because, he starts at what, 9 o'clock in the morning here?
noon your time, yeah.
Noon my time, which is right in the middle of
see
my
this.
day.
I almost always go from the top with it, because then letting go doesn't make the piece.
Oh, it drops. Yeah, good. Good to think about, yeah.
And it seems to grab the head well enough
Yeah.
in either direction.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, but there's another type I've seen. I'm trying to remember how it worked. Oh, that's right. Instead of grabbing around the head, instead of grabbing like this one's doing this way,
Right.
let me just show it this way, and then pushing, it's two rings that have been flattened so that when it grabs here and here, it holds on to the head.
I think I like these better. The idea,
Yeah.
because you can. I see the rings as being problematic if you've done anything to the head
Right.
ahead of time.
Yep. Nice to see that fire get so freaking hot.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love the smell of my charcoal and I
Oh,
love
of course.
working with it. But, and mind you, most of the Ren stuff that we did with charcoal.
Yep.
I don't think we ever brought coal to the Ren
No.
reenactment.
Not when you were around. Now it's all coal.
Yeah. So all this time I was learning with these guys, they made me do it the harder way.
Well, that's what we had to work with. So.
But I mean, that's also how I learned to take advantage of hardwood charcoal being available
Yes.
pretty readily everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's a good color there.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's getting there. Might be usable. I think I'm gonna do one more round. But yeah, this is a really nice hammer. Whoop. Trying to burn myself.
Yeah, that one is also from the same folks that make the forge. Well, let me be clear about that. They don't make the hammer, but they do sell the hammer.
Okay.
And so when I saw it, and I've been wanting a Hoppy style ergonomic hammer for a while, I was like, okay, put it on order.
And just so you folks know, an ergonomic blacksmith hammer is kind of an oxymoron. It depends on the knucklehead running the hammer.
This is true. But the key thing for these, and this one's actually a little too long. This handle should be shorter.
I'd leave it long.
But the key thing with ergonomic hammers is typically you're not holding it out here, even if the handle is that long. Your goal is to hold it about like this, so it becomes an extension of your hand, not an extension of your whole arm.
Right, right.
And yes, you'll still use your arm, but the idea being you're typically not whipping it. You're not trying to get a whole upper arm motion into it, and you don't need to. It turns out.
Not unless you want tendonitis.
Right. Some other things about it is they're extremely well balanced. So it allows, like with a lot of rounding hammers, it allows you to use the edges as fullers without losing the balance on the hammer.
Right.
So this one's edges are not quite as rounded as I probably would have it for that purpose, but yeah,
you can fix that with a grinder.
Exactly.
I am not opposed to taking a cheap hammer and making it a good hammer.
Yeah. And this was a cheap hammer. This one cost me all of $85, I think, which is why I was like, well, yeah, just give me that. You know, why not? This one here, a blacksmithing hammer from, I think it was Blacksmith Supply. You can see how much longer this handle is.
Yes.
This is a rounding hammer, but it's not the, you know.
Right, come to the end.
It's not the.
I need the hammer?
Yep.
Give me my hammer. Give me my hammer.
It's not the style of rounding hammer you see on all the blacksmith videos. And this one I think cost me $135.
But as Jack has told me, this is a show for everybody.
Right.
So you can absolutely get a good hammer for a fairly inexpensive price.
Yep.
At Harbor Freight.
Yep.
You don't have to have this fancy hammer that he just threw on the ground.
Hold on.
Because he doesn't love it.
Demonstrate that hammer right now.
What hammer you got?
Harbor Freight.
Oh, Harbor Freight hammer. Let me see it. I'll set that one to the side. Oh yeah. See, that's a hammer.
And I took the lacquer off the handle just so I would have something that wouldn't slip so much and possibly cause me blisters. Be aware for anybody who's tripping across this as a newbie. The lacquered handles on a lot of your store.
I'm thinking one more time. It's almost square.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. But I think I want to do one more heat, and then we can start making a leaf.
There you go. But the lacquer will cause you blisters.
Yes.
Because it wants to slip in your hand. I need to fire this one. That's the last step. Is to
torch right there.
I've never done it, so. Worst that happens is I burn up a handle on a cheap hammer. This hammer you can get over at Harbor Freight for, I think it was $45 maybe at most.
Not even, probably. Well, maybe, but the hammer is not. Don't get hung up on buying stupid expensive stuff.
And the only reason I'm doing this is there gets to be rough wood on the handle, splintery possibilities, and this basically burns it off.
Yeah, burns off the hammer, burns off the splinters.
It also, in some woods, makes a pretty grain pop out.
Yes.
Depending on how dark you end up firing it. see, Earl, because apparently you weren't seeing it before on your feed. Oh, I need to fix that. Now I see that. You can see us, but it's kind of not optimal. I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to put it to...
Oh, the chat feature?
no, yeah, I was going to show you where the chat feature is. There we go.
Yeah, see, my
Right
eyesight.
here is the chat.
Oh, that's not good. I
So-
can't read that from here. I see.
No,
I
that's
see.
why I put this here.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you're online chatting, you can see everybody's chat right
Got it.
here. But your chat should be just in whichever whichever streaming mechanism you're using. So if you're in
So
Twitch,
I won't see everybody.
you will on this screen here,
Okay.
but you won't see it obviously in the feed on
Okay.
Twitch.
Okay.
That's why I put it on the screen here.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
so that the opportunity to see what's on the stream
Got it.
is there.
Oh, we got a hot piece of metal here.
And that's what it's supposed to be.
Where'd the hammer go?
Hit it
You
while
took
it's
the
hot.
hammer. You took the hammer from me. Okay.
Focus. All right.
Focus. Bofus? Yeah. Those of you that know the joke. Alright, so it's close enough to being square for me.
Yeah.
I can start making
You can make tapers with that.
yeah, I can make tapers with that. This could be a nice looking leaf, I think. And there's our fire scale we were talking about.
Which you've seen me have with the charcoal as
You
well.
can see it, it's all nasty, dirty. Just fire scale. Yeah, it happens.
And I was a silly one that on the blacksmith forum, trying to remember what the name of the iForge.
There's a bunch, so
yeah.
I don't.
Asked the silly question early on in my career: is the forge scale actually useful for anything? And it turns out a few folks have come up with uses for it. They use it to prevent the punch from welding to the steel as you're punching through.
I suppose you could.
You could. They basically dust the hole that they're
Yeah,
punching.
yeah. So I would take it a different direction, being that I do the medieval and Renaissance thing. The forge scale is iron oxide. The key component being iron.
Yeah.
So you can use it to make an ink.
Yes, I've heard people do that as well.
So you could use it to make ink. It's a very dark ink to make illuminated manuscripts, which were typically done on like a goat. Oh, you're spilling. Oh,
No,
I thought that
I
was
told
beer.
you this one's.
I thought that was beer. I thought we had a bar foul. So you could use it for making an ink. You know, you could use some dilute it with some wine, because that's what everything was wine back then. They used wine for everything. A little bit of gum arabic or some pine resin, maybe, I think, and use it to illuminate the manuscripts. And you can go online and look for illuminated manuscripts. They had tons of them, because that's what they did back then. They made illuminated manuscripts and lots of wine. So to make an ink, which is very, very useful. The real ink, if you will, they used oak galls. And if you're curious what an oak gall is, it's where an insect, typically a wasp, has burrowed into the side of an oak tree, typically a small branch, and it makes a ball.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's called an oak gall,
Okay.
which are very high in tannins.
Oh, it's like they
tannins.
kind of reacted to the.
Right. It's
In it.
the way the tree protects itself. So they're very high in tannins, and they would crush those up in a mortar and pestle and use those as part of the process to make ink. It has nothing to do with blacksmithing, but yeah, because I digress all the time, because that's how I am. But
It's one of the reasons I love them.
yeah, if you really want to go into ink, we can do that, but not here. But they would use the oak galls to make ink for their illuminated manuscripts. Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh. I just didn't want the fire to go out.
Yep, it will. I should probably turn this way. That way people can see the beer.
I think I'm going to switch the camera angle so that when you start coming over here to start making the bleach,
Okay.
we'll be able to see it. And the beer.
And the beer, yes.
They continue to see you up in the corner there,
Yeah, yeah.
which I need to fix that one too now. Now that I think I'm retiring the iPhone until I can talk to Elgato. As to why there we go.
Come
This
there.
will be better for you guys to look at. We got a beautiful sunny day today here in Kent, and I even have the solar panel out to be able to charge up the single source of power out here at the Smithy, which is a portable power brick.
Also noted as a big ass battery.
Yes, but one with an inverter, so I actually get both AC and DC. Now, as far as clinkers in this is concerned, I think the only thing I have to do is just push a little bit.
Well, see,
And you can, like I have had to with all the charcoal ash that falls down towards the hole, and to unblock whatever's in the area there.
well, clinkers are a little difficult to deal with in this kind of form.
Okay.
Because you don't have an easy way. So we're going to digress for a second. We're going to make some shoulders here. So we want it about that big. Thank you.
If you feel the need a heavier hammer, I've got a couple of them.
I think I want a heavier hammer. This is some pretty big metal.
Okay.
And you can see I'm bouncing all over the place because I'm...
Well, you weren't quite hot in the spot you wanted anyway.
It was not as hot as I would like it.
So,
And I think I'm going to take a break for a second because not my hammers, a little bit of...
yeah, soreness.
Why don't you take
So-
over?
I will. This is what I had the first time I needed and
There you go.
and Trail
That's
Dust there will tell you.
So
I
that's
called it
probably-
a mini sledge.
That's probably a 5-pound hammer.
I think it was 3.5, but
It feels heavier than that.
I know,
It feels heavier than that.
I know, and it moves some metal.
It will, yes.
But this handle is a rubberized handle. It stays in the hand pretty well.
Yeah, it does.
And who'd have known Fisker could make something to be useful as a blacksmith?
Well,
So you can see I rounded the edges.
yep, you fixed it.
So that's all
You
I had to
fixed
do, though. But today, I want to play with this one.
Yeah, he's got his brand new fancy hammer he wants to play with. God knows why.
Today, everything looks like hot steel.
Everything looks like hot steel. Okay.
So,
All right, so let's do this. I'm going to take a break for a little bit. So I'm going to take mine out of the fire, set it up here on top. I don't want to quench it because that would kind of screw up the steel a little bit for what I'm doing.
and I'm going to go ahead and continue what I was doing last week, forging in the head of this one.
Okay. You squishing it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I started looking at a document that Earl shared with me about journeyman.
Oh, the Journeyman's Blacksmith List.
Right. And
So-
it turns out I've done a bunch of those.
We all have. But now you've got an authoritative
Yes.
document that you can reference.
And say, yes, I've
I've
learned
done
that. Yes,
this,
I've learned.
I've
Wait a minute,
done
haven't
this.
done that.
Yeah, so blacksmithing traditionally was you as a wannabe blacksmith,
Novice, right?
novice,
Yep.
or even one
Before apprentice.
yeah, you would go to a blacksmith and say, I want to become a blacksmith. And he would have a list of things that you would do to become a journeyman. And a journeyman would go around, once you became a journeyman, you could go around to other blacksmith shops and work making the journey between blacksmiths.
Yep.
That was journeyman. So
We still use the name in our trades today,
Yes.
but that's where it comes from. Is if
And
you
it-
were
and
if
it-
you were a craftsman, that's the process.
And journeyman is across different disciplines. You could become a journeyman electrician, a
Yep.
journeyman plumber, and they each have their own requirements for what you have to do to reach that level. So the blacksmith community has a list of requirements, if you will, to become a journeyman blacksmith. And it's simple things that you have to do as well. It's things you have to learn and demonstrate to someone, typically, to become a journeyman blacksmith.
Yep. Some of those are just what include forging in, which is what Earl was doing.
Upsetting.
Upsetting,
Upsetting.
which is what Earl was doing. Forging in, which is what I'm doing. Tapering. What was the other things?
Mortise and tenon,
Yes.
where you take a piece of steel and you forge a hole in the steel, and you forge another piece of steel to fit in there. You see it really commonly in wood, in the mortise and tenon, but we do the same thing in steel.
Yep. Which is why I have this punch here, so I can do the same thing.
Right.
The square punch that allows me to punch the square hole, and then I make a square piece that fits into that hole. And the reason is you don't want the thing you're putting in that hole twisting round and round.
Right. You want it nice square, which is more difficult than you think.
Yep. But it's a lot easier to poke a square hole than it is to
Make
drill
a-
a square hole.
Yes, you can't drill a square hole.
Ah, you need to look that up.
But no, you're right. You can.
It's a weird thing.
I've seen it.
seen
Yes,
it.
I've seen it. I don't quite believe it, but I've seen it.
It's very weird how that works. All right. Let's see how quickly this is getting to temp. Not quite, but the colt is now, which means it won't be long. Oh, for anybody that happened to tune in when I burnt up the leaf 2 weeks ago, there it is. That's what I found. It's not leaf shaped anymore. I mean, kind of, sort of, but lots of melted steel there. Charcoal can melt your steel. Coal can do it faster. Now I'm going to set this over here. Ah, you quenched it.
I did, yes.
All right. This is where I keep talking about I need new tongs. I definitely got hot enough. Let's see if I can work it with this new hammer. Oh yeah. Nice. Oh, it's so nice working with this hammer. I'll have to tag Fire Creek Forge in this video once it's posted. And express my thanks for making this hammer for me. Me trouble. Got this one rod of steel that is just way too long for where I've got it stored. I just got to read what Gideon had said. I brought a scruffy guy home with me, he said. No doubt. I love how fast that warms it up.
Oh yeah, really quick.
Yeah, I need a couple more pairs of tongs.
Wow, that's a nice hammer. Work it, baby, work it.
And it's not making me feel like I'm struggling with it either. Because nobody's put some long-ass handle on it to make it make me feel inferior if I grab it where I got it.
You might be getting a little too cool.
Might be.
You can still see some red, but
yep.
Why beat yourself up?
Well, not only that, but I'm getting cold shuts in there if I work it this cool anyway.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm definitely seeing potential with here is having better chances of, covering up my mistakes, but with forge welds. In other words, the cold shuts that would normally occur here, if I get it hot enough, it basically forge welds itself while I'm working it. I wouldn't use that as a technique for anything that has to stand up to stresses, but for decorative work,
Absolutely.
yeah. Let's see if we can get it up to the point where it's just about sparkling. Man, the color I'm seeing in this fire is incredible. I can never get to this bright a yellow in the fire normally. I do suspect there's a little more forge scale than I'm used to.
Yeah,
Maybe because of where I've got it in the fire.
Well, that and
Or
there's
in the,
there's a lot more carbon involved with coal.
okay.
So yeah, you'll have some a little more. That's a hot fire right there.
Yeah, it is. Now, for those who've seen this forge in action earlier, you'll remember that there is a retaining wall that I can set in there using this fire brick and
A piece of metal.
yeah, this piece of
There
metal
it
that
is.
helps it stay in where I want it. The biggest difference between what I'm doing today and what I would have done before is before this is to prevent the charcoal from keep getting pushed back.
From drifting back towards the back of the.
In this case,
We
number
have,
one, it
we have-
appears the coal doesn't want to drift. But
No,
number
because
two,
it wants to stick together.
yeah, but
It wants to burn together. Yeah, so you have to periodically break it up.
yep. But second off, it appears that it's beneficial to have the coal behind it anyway.
Yes.
To cook it
Yep.
and bring it forward as
Bring
it's
it-
cooked.
And keep the fire very central.
Yeah. We got a little bit of soak time there. Bring it back up again. Yeah, so the hammer that you've been using is the one that I've been traditionally using, but I've been using it with this stock. What is that?
Half inch.
3/8? No, I
Maybe
don't.
Yeah, maybe 3/8.
Yeah, 3/8. So it's plenty for that. But for something this big, I found it wasn't very good for that. And that's when I would break out the Fisker. This is pretty close to done.
That looks nice.
Oh, I'm on the rounding side. Flattening side seems to do the trick really nicely.
Let the hammer do the work.
Yep.
You're pushing
Ooh,
it.
a little bit of,
Little bit of dust. Whoa, there we go.
and that's the fact that I can't really get a good grip on this with these tongs. They're made for smaller stock. So I need another pair that,
Need to make more tongs.
yep, need to make more tongs. I think that's good enough.
I think so.
All right. Now, what I have been doing is making tongs out of these things. The biggest thing, oh, this one didn't do it, and that's because I got a bigger hammer, which, okay. All right, so this is something I just learned. Watching.
Did you see the light bulb up here?
Yeah. So, there was another smith I just was watching, and you can see here, by the way, the cold shuts.
There's a
Those
couple.
can be stress risers, and it depends on what I'm going to use this whip for, whether or not that's going to cause me trouble. But back to the point. I'm going to show you another spike that I forged in like this, that I didn't have such a good hammer to do it with, and then I'm going to explain what you're seeing. Let go. There we go. That was hot.
Which?
I just barely touched that.
Oh, okay.
So, I'll pick it up so you can see it better. This one has what is known as fish lips. Pretty bad fish lips.
Yep.
Okay?
But it's normal.
And yeah, it's not an uncommon thing to have happen, but I
And-
learned just recently what causes that. So, and if you look at this one, it's got the same kind of rounded end, and it's got just the tiniest bit of fish lipping, but it's not going to cause me any trouble at all. I could forge that flat easy. This one here is going to take more effort to forge flat. I'll probably still be able to do it if I take advantage of holding it like this on my anvil to forge in the tip here, which I'll do in a little bit. It'll also forge in this end when I heat it up too. Point is, what causes that is you're not getting enough power into the metal that you're forging in, such that it kind of squishes the middle metal outward Instead, it folds the metal over and there are ways to head that off. Don't work the edge until you have to.
Right.
And the better way is use something that gives you the power and surface area necessary to cause the toothpaste tube effect, where if you were to quickly push in the middle of the toothpaste tube, toothpaste comes out the other end, and the middle goes down. So it kind of does the exact same thing. The surface of metal wants to move before the middle of the metal. If you get a good consistent heat, that's less likely to happen.
Yep.
If you use a good amount of force, it's less likely to happen. And so now that I have these two done this far, the next thing for me to do is to forge in the tips and clean up the fish lips.
So go and work on that one.
So
Let that one sit.
the one I just
Yep.
finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think,
You can have multiple things in the fire.
yeah, I think
I wouldn't at this point, but
I'm going to forge this tip in first. So that
the pointy tip. Okay.
that way I have a flat surface to be striking
Okay.
as I try to push in the fish lips.
Not a problem.
And I need to pull some of that coal down.
Yep.
And it's popcorn.
Yep. Yeah. With coal, you're constantly bringing cooked coal into your fire area.
New drinking game. When you drop the metal, take a shot. I take a shot. Oh.
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 You said that.
That's a good time of night for that for you there, Steve.
Okay,
So-
Steven, you take the shot. Because I've had beers all afternoon. I've been drinking since noon Pacific. So,
A vacation, you know.
yeah, I got no place to be. I'm not driving, so.
And I've got a nice variety for him
yeah.
to select from. You want to try something that tastes sour and berry?
Okay, it's got good nose. It smells really nice. I am typically not a fan of sours, but it's very berry smelling.
Yep. It's sort of like taking the berries off the vine and eating them when they're just a little bit premature.
Ooh, I got that whole mouth pucker thing going,
Yep, that's exactly what happens.
which I don't really. Ooh, it's very astringent. Very astringent. So, okay. Yeah, that's a wow. That's a different kind of tip.
And
Yeah,
that's
okay.
why I say, if you think you don't like beer, let me have some time with you to set out a few different kinds. You will discover that they don't all taste like beer.
Or you will discover you just don't like fucking beer. Excuse my language. Folks. And I know one person in particular who does not like beer. My wife, I offer her everything I get. She tries it. Her response typically tastes like beer. I could give her a Budweiser, tastes like beer. Give her a Guinness, tastes like beer. So,
And that's what my eldest son was always like too. Recently, I've converted him.
what are we building up there?
Well, this is the wrong battery to do it with.
Because it's dead?
No, because it's too big.
Oh, okay.
I've got a slimline battery that fits up there better. But I don't need it today. I just wanted to make sure if I'm bringing the right battery out or not.
Is that a light?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we need light.
No, it's plenty in here right now. The sun is doing its job for a change.
Yeah. So another thing I learned about Seattle and the environs is that the sun doesn't go down till like 10 o'clock at night.
In the summer, definitely not. Right
So-
now, it's still, it's not quite that late yet.
It's way later than I'm used to on the East Coast.
We have to wait until 10 o'clock before we can start doing 4th of July fireworks.
Yeah, so, well, that doesn't stop my neighborhood. They're
Oh.
doing fireworks all day long.
I'm
all
talking
day
about
night.
I'm talking about the professional fireworks.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's like I'm a freaking pumpkin. I fall asleep, start falling asleep at 9 o'clock, and that's been true since I was 20. So, um,
Yeah, not so much. A little more.
so I'm never going to see a fireworks display here. Well, not never, but it's going to have to be like Super Bowl
Oh, that's
fireworks.
still
Not,
very hot.
yeah, Super Bowl fireworks, not. Hi, Rosie. I don't think you guys can hear her, but my donkey is saying, treats, please.
All right, so I'm gonna go give her a carrot because she likes carrots. So I'll be back.
Not quite. You know, with charcoal, orange is a color I would have actually forged with because of the nuisance of trying to get it to a hotter temperature sometimes. But this is just put it in for about 5 more cranks and you'll probably be fine. So, really loving it. Thank you, Stephen, for magically appearing a couple of bags of coal for us to take home. Oh yeah, there we go. Do I want to do it that way or do I want to just do it like that? Oh, take a drink, Stephen. Or as Joey Vandermeer would say, drop forward. Get in there and make sure there isn't any coal plugging up or anything else plugging up the airway. Hey, Stephen, did you? Yes, definitely to the dark side. Have you seen this forge? Have you been on the stream before to see this forge in action? Or should I talk about it a little bit? Okay, so if you want to see the dog and pony show of the maker, that's Whitlock's Forge. But the reason it's shaped like this is twofold. First, it's meant to be a wood burning forge. In the process of it's a charcoal forge, but you start with the raw material of wood. And the V shape allows the wood at the top to charcoal up and become useful at the bottom for our smithing purposes. So that's why it's V shaped. And then the length of it is what it is. Gosh, this is so nice to work with. Is what it is because it has what's known as a dial-a-tweer. It has from 1 to 10 positions that can be opened up in there. And so, as Earl was saying, it's not great for dealing with clinkers necessarily, but it's also not horrible because all I have to do is push something over the open port to free up whatever's blocking it, and I'm good to go again. See, I thought Earl was doing it the hard way when he was forging in the tip. So I'm gonna use the fire cam to show you the parts I'm talking about. So in here you can see it's V-shaped, and you start either with some pre-started charcoal or you just start a wood fire in there, and what ends up happening is you then stack up other wood here on top on the top parts of the V, and the heat from up here cooks the wood and allows it to just start shifting down in as it becomes charcoal. And I can just, as I do with the coal here, just hit it to break it up into smaller chunks and go with it. And the reason I'm doing that, if you look out here, you can see a whole scrap pile of wood. And my neighbor is a general contractor and handyman, and he's constantly just bringing me over scrap wood. So I got plenty of fuel in that regards. And then down here is the dial-a-tweer. You got right now, I don't even think we have it currently. Yeah, I do. I've learned the lesson with this thing. Never grab it because it's hot. So if I want to do anything with that dial-a-tweer, first go ahead and grab the glove. It doesn't look like it's quite on the 2. There we go. And that allows me to open up, one port is like right here, and it is all the way back. You can look, if you look in the very back there, you can see a port back there. And I can just dial open as much as I need for the length of stock that I have to be able to work with. Obviously, if I'm going to do something, really long, I guess the stereotypical thing people will talk about wanting to have a long forge for is for heat treating a blade. Technically, I could do that with this. So my tip's already forged in, Earl. Well, almost. Not quite to square. We're almost there. One more run here, I think it'll be ready. And then I'll turn it over and work on those fish lips. Maybe put the other one in to start working its tip. I decided to use the hit it from above methodology. Especially if you can't grip the piece with the tongs you have. But boy, does this thing get hot enough to move metal in all sorts of wonky ways.
Yep.
So. Yep. Have another one. Okay. No, that's for Steven. If you want another one, you know where they are. I almost said something absurd and said if you get tired of beer, I have other options, but then I remembered who I was talking to.
You know me too well, Jack.
That's pretty close to ready. A little too wide right now. That's easily fixed. But I think I'm going to go ahead and switch to the other side and forge those fish lips in.
So oh, that was close. That could be dangerous.
Well, it just means a $50 camera stops being a camera.
There we go. Yep. I got it. That was close.
Let's drape this way.
Yeah. And it's getting a little warm here on the front.
That's okay. I'm not worried about it. Like I said,
Okay.
$50 camera.
Okay.
I figured it'll die faster than some other options I have, but the thing is, I don't have the money right now to afford something that zooms.
Well,
just need to get this in the right way. There we go.
my drunk bitch. Those of you that know me.
There we go. That's a fire. Well, it's a barely smoldering fire, but
No, it's burning. Keep cranking. There you go.
I do love the fact that the fuel does not. We have hardly used any fuel.
Yeah, we've used very
I
little.
would have gone through, for this amount of time. I don't know what time we started. Magical powers. That's the only problem I have with this whole thing with the delay that we have. I've already lost the thread. ADHD and asynchronous communication, where I'm the one speaking it and you guys are the ones typing it. That's a hard thing to pull off. But the amount of fuel I would have gone through to do this, I mean, it's not. I don't go through a lot, but it would have been
Enough.
a lot more than this.
Yes. So,
Let's unplug the hole.
I'm gonna move this out of your way. So you need to take your thing there and beat the fire a little bit. Well, okay.
Not that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking the tool for that, but maybe pull some more in.
Well, that's true too. Let me do this. This one's better for.
Yep. So we're learning about coal here.
Yeah, I've never worked with it. I've only watched Smiths work with it, not long enough to see how they actually manage the fire.
Right. So you have to turn the fire over occasionally. So fuel management is a little more important with coal. So you're not wasting your expensive coal, because coal is more expensive than the charcoal he's been using. But the amount of BTUs you get greatly out, What are you doing? Okay.
Making sure that the holes aren't
No worries.
aren't plugged up. This one of the reasons when I do make an actual rake, it's going to have not only the elbow, but it'll have a little bit of a pointed tip, because I'll need that point to sometimes pull things out of the hole, the ports.
So we've got a learning curve, John.
Yeah.
Which he's managing really well. He picked it up pretty quick.
So it's really funny. As he had mentioned, I've been the bellows monkey for several seasons. When I say seasons, they would have fair down south. I think I only bellowed monkeys once then.
Okay.
And then we had the Scottish Highland Games up where I lived in the Orlando area. And they would come up and run the Renaissance stuff there. And the blacksmithing and the leathersmithing. The man here is a leathersmith. And needlepoint. You wouldn't believe how many people would sit around and watch my wife play on the triangular loom.
Right. Yep.
And I just went several seasons never once lifting a hammer. Just pumping the bellows, watching these guys work, so that I could just see I've always been enthralled by it. I would go to any place that I could go to, the fair, Dollywood, that had blacksmiths, and I would spend a lot more time than most watching the blacksmith at work. And finally I was like, you know, what they're doing looks like something I might be able to do. So I finally...
Which realistically, anybody can do.
Exactly.
Anybody can do this. You don't need this fancy setup.
Nope.
You can do it with a barbecue grill. And I know a couple of Smiths that use a stupid $20 barbecue grill.
Yep.
You just need some kind of a...
Someplace you can put a box of dirt.
Oxygen in the... Yeah, you can do it with a box of dirt.
Yeah, but the barbecue grill, I've actually literally seen somebody just fill up with playground sand. You know, this stuff.
Yep.
And they just fill it with playground sand, put a pipe up through the bottom or through the side, depending on how they decided to do it.
Right.
And a side blower is not a bad way to go. I'm not going to say it's a great way to go.
It's not optimal, but it's better than nothing.
Right. What I've always said is, you really don't have an excuse for not doing it, except that you haven't made this decision to do it.
Right.
Because you literally can do it with a hairdryer
and a
box of
barbecue
dirt
grill.
and a barbecue grill.
And a barbecue grill. And the only reason I say barbecue grill, it's much easier to clean and work with. And when it finally gives up, you go get another barbecue grill.
Yeah, and they cost like $45.
Not even.
We're talking about the cheap barbecue grills, the little bowl-looking thing. That,
$20 at Walmart.
Black or red, typically.
Typically red.
Have that grate on top.
Yep. You take the grate, you throw it aside.
Yep, don't need it. You steal your wife's hairdryer and promise her a better one.
That's a nice looking fire right there.
Yeah, it is.
It's very hot.
All right.
Step out of the way so I don't get burned.
Let's get this where I can actually work with it. That should do it. Let's see if we can forge those fish lips in.
All right, straighten it out.
Yep. There you go, Stephen.
Without burning
I'm
yourself.
making that happen just for you. You can see when it hits the ground. You can see it and smell it down here.
Yep.
That there's plenty of good, what's the right word? Organic material in the dirt here in Kent, Washington.
Which only helps. So you still got a little bit there.
Yep.
To work with.
Yep.
But you may ignore that depending on what you're making.
Tongs.
So
I've learned that this is just enough material.
Maybe close it up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Or it won't. If I use this side for the nibs, that won't matter too much.
As the reins.
Right. So, and the key is to draw the reins more out from in here.
Or way more. Yeah.
And then it'll end up pushing that out, and I can make a ball on the end or something like that, you know, decorative. So, yeah. I think I'm pretty close to done because, frankly, I don't need to be perfectly square for that because that's going to be a set down anyway.
Yeah, because you're going to screw it all up. You're going to screw it up later.
And so that one is done enough to be able to turn into a set of reins here in a little bit. Oh, just in case anybody was curious to see the finished product, all I really did was take something that was shaped like a spike and turn it into, you know, something approaching square stock. That's going to be such a great hammer for drawing out over the horn.
Yes. It's a great hammer.
So, you want to give some more go at it?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So then where did I put the other one? There's the other one.
See, I'm the guest. I'm the visiting guest.
That was dumb, what I just did.
Yeah, it was.
Fortunately, it had cooled enough.
But luckily, it worked out. But you know, what he did was pick up a piece of steel that he had been working before, which could conceivably still been hot.
There was a subconscious bit of me that knew it was not hot enough to cause me harm because it was sitting on wood. And not catching fire. But all metal is hot, and I shouldn't have done that.
No. You got lucky this time.
Yes.
Next time you won't.
Right?
Because that's how it works out.
See what that is?
too late. By that point, it's
Yeah. Oh, I
too
know.
late.
Oh, I know. But it at least stops it from roasting the meat inside. I'm not getting airflow, which means there's probably a piece of coal in my port.
Could be. Time to turn the fire over. So you have to turn the fire periodically. Take your stock out.
Yeah,
Set it to the side. Take your there you go. Take your tool and turn the fire periodically. So coal is a little goofy to work with sometimes, where you have to turn the fire over, which is what he's doing right now. He's taking stuff from the bottom, moving it to the top, just kind of mixing the whole material around. There we go. Maybe grab some more from the back. Ah, you got a pretty good bit.
I just need to pull it forward so I can start cooking. All right.
Yeah, so coal takes a whole different mental thinking about how to manage the fire. And that's a big part of blacksmithing, is simply managing the fire.
Yeah, what I've been saying for some is we got everybody talks about hammer control, and they don't talk too much about fire management.
Right.
Or tongue management. Tongue control. There's a lot of tongue control.
Yep.
So, just because you think you can hit a nail, and you're pretty good at it, you still got more things to learn.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that, getting nice and yellow underneath.
Yep. Nice, really bright orange.
Yep.
Sometimes the camera doesn't pick it up real well.
As a matter of fact, the camera oftentimes shows things way hotter than
Way
it is.
hotter than it really is. But that's pretty hot.
Yep.
That's a nice.
Just
So-
so, for a second. I need to-
So you get the coal or the coke around in the fire, but with the air coming in from the bottom, you end up with a glowing ball. Realistically, a glowing ball.
No, that's not bad. Still, it's only 102 degrees there.
Oh, so we have some concerns about the vent. So
I'm always going to be a little concerned so that none. And what I'm seeing is most of the heat is staying there in the coal.
Yeah.
Or going into my material.
yeah, which is what we like.
Yeah. The hood itself is 420 degrees, so I could probably start a steak on there.
Or eggs.
Yeah.
You got eggs.
I got
We
tons
got
of
100
eggs.
100 freaking chickens here.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I have that many.
It seems like it. I'm not a chicken person, so there's like chickens all over the place.
He helped me catch one today.
Yep.
She had found her way out.
I just pushed her towards him. Nice.
You see it cooking a little bit.
Yep.
I'll tell you though, rotary bellows, they aren't bad. I mean, double chamber bellows are good.
Yeah.
This isn't bad though. It takes
No,
a lot
no.
less space.
Yes. Yes. So the double chamber bellows we typically use are probably 4 feet across by 6 feet long.
Like half of my Smithy.
Yeah.
So that fire in the back is the stuff cooking, right?
Yep. You got turning in the coke.
Yep. Let's see if we got enough heat to.
You very well may. That's pretty hot right there. Oh yeah.
Good.
Step out of the way so I don't get burned.
can now see how people can get things done in smaller heats.
Yep. Yep. Plus, the bigger stock holds the heat much better.
Right. And I'm oftentimes using a lot smaller stock
Yes.
for
Yes.
the work I do. Work being a relative term.
Well, you're still doing work. You're still making something. It's work. So, I see this interesting tool that he made. You probably see it. This is a turning wrench where you would put the stock in the anvil, or I'm sorry, in the vise, and you clamp it down and turn it. This is kind of an interesting way to do it.
Well,
it works.
These were inexpensive over at Tractor Supply
Right,
or
right.
Coastal.
Right?
And one of the things I noticed when I bought it, and I'll get you the other one that I have here so it's easy to see it, is how close to parallel this bar was to this little, here, let me bring it over here, how close the leverage bar
Right.
was parallel to this surface right here. And I immediately said, I need two of those, because one of them is going to be my turning wrench.
Right. Nothing wrong with it.
So
it's a little ugly on the weld.
That's my son's first few welds.
Okay. So but it works. It's tight.
Yep.
Not real pretty, but it doesn't have to be pretty to be a tool. Most tools are not pretty.
Yep. And then the second one became the tool for the propane tanks.
Okay. Works.
For the propane forge.
Yep.
So. I think.
So I'm going back here to the tool we made earlier. The
bending jig.
The bending jig. I think the distance here might be a little large.
Too far apart? Yeah.
It depends on the stock you're using.
Right.
If you use 1.5 inches, which is what we've got here, it's probably good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use 1.5 inches, not really beefy enough. So,
okay.
It's good
We'll
steel. It's good steel. There's nothing wrong with it, but 1.5 inches steel is big. That's a lot of mass to move. So I think these need to be closed a little bit.
Yep.
Not much.
The reason I left it that big is I didn't know what I'm going to be bending with it.
Right.
And so initially it was more a case of once I get to the point where I need to bend something, I might end up having to modify that a little bit. I think
we're going to close them up a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe to 1 inch.
Okay.
Maybe 1/2 inch. 3/4 of an inch, maybe. But very useful as is.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a simple idea. I don't know how I haven't thought of it before now.
Yep.
And if I really feel like it, I can use the cutoff that I'll have from this beginning of a Hardy tool. I don't need the shoulder for this because it becomes its own shoulder.
Right.
And just weld it onto.
You could.
That, and now I can use it in the anvil
with the Hardy hole.
Yep.
That's what this big square is. I don't know if you can see it real well, but it's a big square. It's called the Hardy hole. And this big circle here is called the Pritchell hole.
Yep.
There we go. We got a tool made for the Hardy hole. It just slips in there. Now this tool is kind of crazy. I'm not sure what he's gonna make with it eventually.
What I think I'm going to end up doing is, if I can get my hacksaw to work for it, otherwise it'll be a cutoff wheel, is I'm going to probably do an angle cut here.
Okay.
And then turn it into a cutoff tool.
Okay.
So that one side's got a straight edge on it.
So I would cut both sides.
Okay.
That way you have
I've seen that's what I've got over here, right? But I've seen some Smiths that have recently got me to thinking I want to see how it works, where they have one side that's straight, and the other side
It's the angle.
is angled into the straight and
Okay.
sharpened to a point.
Right.
And that way they're always assured a straight cut on one side. They don't have to worry about angled cuts on both sides.
I can see that. Not use one like that, but I can.
Yeah,
I
well,
can
that's
see it.
I haven't either. That's why I was thinking I want to try it and see what happens. The worst that happens is later I decide, no, I don't like that, and I then have to forge it over.
You fix it, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the thinking on that. So
That's a nice fire. That's nice.
yep, comes right up to town. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is bright.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
If you
Look
want to
at
finish
that.
this off now. Hey, it didn't drop this time.
Yeah.
Warming up my hammer face that way, but
That's fine. Whoop.
there you go, Steven. We have to come up with our own specialty drink, specialty shot for the drop shot.
Dude, we'll be drunk in an hour.
So this railroad spike is going to be interesting because it's got some decay in it. We'll see if that's going to cause me trouble when it comes time to forge it.
You're talking about it in
Yep.
this section here?
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be that big a deal because you can work at Smith. So what you have here is where I don't know if you can see the dimples and it looks like it's eroded, which it kind of is, where we got too hot right there, and the metal actually started liquefying and then burning off.
Well, that may be the case. It may have
Right.
happened in our forge, but these are a hodgepodge of spikes. So, who knows? And they sat in water here
Okay.
because the area does flood occasionally.
Right.
So,
So we may have some previous defects in
Yep,
the metal,
yep.
which is sometimes you get.
You can
with
see this one is really bad.
Yeah, this one is really bad.
Careful.
So, yeah, so that may be just defects in the metal that were there before we even started
Yeah.
defecting the metal, which we do. So that's the problem with reclaimed metal, is that sometimes surface rust and other abuse to the metal. This may be where it was through the
Come on over this way so you can see me better.
this
There you go.
this part may be where it was through the collar that it was nailed through to hold the railroad ties to
Yep.
the actual track, where every time the train went along there was a little bit of vibration, greatly exaggerated, but there's a little bit of vibration, so it could have just eroded it there. And that's the problem we have as Smiths. We will look at every piece of metal as
As an opportunity.
an opportunity to make something.
Yep.
And we will collect metal because we might use it one day for something.
Oh, I gotta show my metal collection now.
Yeah, so we have, my collection. Steve, yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Here's some valve springs, good spring steel. Of course, it would have to be straightened out, which is, I guess, would be a good something to do on another show.
Sure.
Is to straighten out the spring steel onto a bar, and then work it from there. But we also have some valves, which are very, very hard
tough
metal.
steel. Yeah.
Um,
Probably
not
chromium in there.
not much he can do with the actual head of the valve, so he could cut it off here. But that would be good for tools.
Yeah.
Punches,
Maybe some chasing tools.
chasing tools, absolutely. Some repoussé tools.
Yep.
And if you're curious about that word, look it up. Um, that's a very, a very long, a very old idea. It's repoussé, goes back to the medieval times because that's where my interest lies. And you could do some tools with these. You could make knives with these, um, small knives, or he could cut them up into chunks. So you cut. So I would do is I would cut down here and make a whole bunch of rings, and then I would pack them really tight together in some kind of a metal box,
Yeah, tin. Yep.
like a tin or a metal box,
Yep.
and make some. Well, we call it Damascus steel now, and there's some really cool people out there doing really cool patterns with what we call Damascus, but it's not really Damascus.
The art of Damascus was made in a place called Damascus.
Damascus.
It wasn't something that was. It was something that passed on Smith to Smith, not documented.
Right.
And so we don't know truly if we're making it the way that they made Damascus.
Right. So what we call Damascus steel now is probably not the true Damascus, but it's what we have, and the vernacular is this is Damascus, and you can get some really cool patterns.
Yep.
You get ladder patterns, you get starburst patterns, depending upon how you take the billets, cut the pieces, stack them together, forge weld them together, and then start working it again, and then cut them some more. If you want examples out there, just look for pattern Damascus. There's plenty of crazy people out there doing crazy stuff, way beyond my skill set.
Just some gorgeous, amazing,
But just amazing, gorgeous.
It is not an easy thing, and it is a very lossy process. You lose a lot of metal in the process to get those really cool patterns, because you have to do the forge welds. You end up with parts that it's impossible to weld at the ends effectively.
So you lose them.
You cut those off. You've got to get some of the patterns. You sit there and you literally drill into the material, and then forge it down. That causes raindrop patterns, for example.
Yes. Yes.
You got zigzags. You can do W's. You can do all sorts of interesting things. But again, it all involves cutting out parts of your metal in the process, and then grinding it down, and then putting it together again.
We will probably do that on a much later show.
But this is a piece that I had started in that process, and it was just simple flat stock. Stuff like this of 10, I think it was 1080 and I can't remember now. It's been a while since I ended up getting it, and it was a package thing that I'd gotten. And you can see I'm to the point now where I need to start grinding away, because those twists that I've put in there, they'll never forge together neatly.
No.
So
you would grind it all and then cut it
Yep.
into pieces, stack them together a certain way, and there you go.
Yep. So this here, that's all rough. That's got to be thrown away. This here, I could probably forge in the fish lips, but that can't be forged in. And all the twists that you can visibly see now have to be ground away, so that you can't see that anymore. At which point, then it's ready to be turned into something, and you have to put it into an etching material. Some folks have used coffee. Some folks have used various acids. So
hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid.
Yep.
Not stuff you want to play with unless unless you know what you're doing.
Yep. And got good air.
Yeah, lots of airflow.
Rubber gloves. Ways to protect yourself, and you maybe probably even a first aid kit for splashes, accidental splashes. A plan at minimum. All right, so that's 2 pieces of bar stock that are now ready for me to work into, and I'm going to show you. Here's one piece. Here's another piece. They're now roughly the same length.
Pretty close, yeah.
Same shape. And an example. Did I throw it? I threw it away? No, I couldn't have thrown it away. I
What are you
wouldn't
looking
have
for?
done that. The pair that I actually forged. Actually, this is one. This is a pair. It's ugly.
Does it work?
It works.
Then it ain't ugly.
This is a pair that was made using 2 railroad spikes. You can see my concern that with what I was doing, with not having good heat to work with,
Over time, maybe it
you
might
know,
crack
the
there.
the constant going. Well, and I've lost my flat. I've made a pair of flat jaws, which I can't seem to locate at the moment. But I made a pair of flat jaws. That's exactly what happened. It snapped there.
Right. So, one of the things you need to do when you're working with, so when you're holding a hot piece of metal here, heat travels.
Yeah.
It will travel into your tool. So periodically, you have to dump your tool into the quench bucket to
Yep.
cool it off, so you don't get those little cracks.
Yep.
I think these will last quite a while.
Okay.
If you take care of them.
Yeah.
Keep them cool.
Yep.
So.
But you can see I put some springiness into the
Yeah,
handle.
there's a little springiness into the reins. We call these reins.
Yep.
Like the reins on a horse. But overall, they're very functional.
Yeah.
They don't have to be pretty. They don't have to be pretty. It's better if you can make your tools pretty.
And that's the goal, is to get better
Right.
and better, so
So-
I can get
right.
make
So-
prettier things.
But they're very functional.
Now I
Nothing
do
wrong
think
with
I'm going to
them.
put a
They're
cross.
good for
um,
they're good for round stock.
Yep.
And square stock if you hold it
Of a certain size.
of a certain size. Yes.
So this one I think is
Might work.
maybe just at the limits of what it can do, say effectively.
No, that grabs it pretty well.
Okay.
So we got what, 3/8?
Yeah.
Yep, 3/8. Steel.
And that way I can do bendy things inside
Yep.
there.
Yep. So you can see the pattern that's built into the tongs.
Now I do think I'm going to put a cross one in there too, so that way I can hold stuff sideways.
Oh, so you're gonna put a
Yeah.
he's gonna put the same shape here sideways. So you have a diamond shape here on the side going all the way through, of course. So he can hold things sideways, which sometimes makes it easier when you're banging on it. So
Yep.
yeah.
And that's how I learned that railroad spike is perfect amount of material to make 1/2 of a tong blank. I made 2 of them.
And that's one of the things when you become an apprentice blacksmith, as some of us try to do, one of the things that you have to do is make your own tools.
Yep.
And once you have the idea being, once you have a complete set of tools, you've become a journeyman blacksmith.
Yes. And now you can take your tools that you made with you to other shops.
places,
Yep.
or maybe even start your own shop, or work with another smith who's much more experienced. Because realistically, you're not going to learn this from a YouTube video. You can understand intellectually all the processes that go into making a tool.
Yes.
But until you actually make the tool,
Yeah.
you're not learning anything. So once you make your own set of tools, then you become a blacksmith.
Yep.
In theory.
So, Earl,
We're done.
would you like to do anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. I don't
Awesome.
want to take up your time and your
Oh, this is all for fun for me.
Oh, it's all fun for me too. This is not what I do for a living in any way, shape, or form.
And you guys know this isn't what I do for a living. I pay the bills by being very fortunate to have found my way into tech.
Yeah, I'm a geek as well. I make crap talk to other crap sometimes. So,
And I write the software that talks across that.
yeah. So, we work well together.
Yep.
We don't know it yet. I'm sure we've met electronically, out there
before.
somewhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, I make other crap talk to other crap.
And I love this. And you guys can see it in the fire cam. It's
fire's
just
done.
It's just going out without us having to deal with it.
Nope, it's going to go out. You
And
can
it's going to
leave
be.
it.
I'll be able to start that right up. And
Yep. So tomorrow, when he
Just for-
comes back out here, or whenever he comes back out here, he's already gotten a bunch of coke that is already ready to go, and it will take off pretty quick. So we had to have some. We had to have some.
I was thinking I was going to have to pull it all out to clean out clinkers and stuff, but.
Well, you may.
But right now, I
but
feel
you
like
can-
pretty confident that I can just stack like that and be ready for the next.
But what you can also do is, because of the shape of your forge, you can take what's there,
Just shove it back.
push it to the back where it's nice and clean, deal with whatever crap is in your burner, in your air holes.
Yeah.
You may have some clinkers.
Yeah.
No, you will have some clinkers.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, a clinker is all the impurities that are inherent to coal.
Coal is basically, compressed carbon, but it lives in rocks.
Right.
So you're going to get rocks.
So you'll get
in
all
the
sorts
mix.
of you'll get all sorts of goofy stuff in the coal. You can't see it visually, but after a while, it does build up. It tends to collect, and you get what's called a clinker, and it's all really ugly. I don't even know best.
Am I going to see it when I just turn it?
Oh yeah, you'll see. Sometimes you'll see the clinker.
Yeah, it becomes big, lumpy, and it's heavier than the.
It's very heavy. It's like a rock.
Yeah.
It's very heavy. It's like a rock, which it basically is. It's also all the impurities that are in the coal that will not burn.
Yeah.
And they do tend to collect together, and they're called a clinker. And when they're hot in the fire, they are very much like very thick honey. They will melt and flow like honey. Think of very thick honey, but it's a clinker, and you have to deal with them when you're dealing with coal. That's one of the downsides to coal, is that you have to deal with the clinkers. One of the upsides is you don't have as much ash.
I was just about to say that. One of the big things I'm loving is I'm not going to have to I mean, I don't see ash at this point.
Right.
The amount of ash I'm used to seeing is tremendous.
At this point, yes.
And I don't have any ash there.
Right. So
I can walk away from it and know that
we
it's
can
not going
walk
to burn
away
anything
right now.
down.
It will not continue burning. It's just going to go out.
Yeah. Stephen, thank you so much. You definitely have got a convert here.
Well, that's kind of what I was hoping.
I mean, and I've got fuel for I don't know how many months now.
A while. You've got so he's got 100 pounds of coal. We've got.
I don't smell as pretty though. I have to admit.
Yeah,
I don't have the nice firewood smell going on.
Your wife will get used to it.
Okay.
Or not. So it's either or. It might be an aphrodisiac. You never know. She might be attracted to the smell.
Yeah.
Mine is not.
Go take a shower.
Yeah,
Damn it.
basically is like, oh, get away from me. But yeah, the benefits of coal greatly outweigh the cons of coal, and there are cons of coal, and I would not recommend a brand new smith working with coal.
Oh, they're just going to burn up a lot of stuff
without some on-hand instruction to manage the fire. And that's really what it boils down to, is managing the fire. You've got some time to learn how to heat up the metal and how to beat up on the metal. And then when you switch over to coal, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so much better. But you have to have someone to help you with it. Now he's polishing his pretty hammer.
No, not polishing it, just making sure I get a little bit of WD-40 all over
Yeah,
it.
he's polishing his hammer.
It's a nice hammer.
He's polishing his hammer. He's very proud of his hammer, as he should be, because it's a really nice hammer.
Let me do this real quick because
Yep,
I can.
do
Oh,
this.
oh, oh! I don't know how much heat that was holding.
Not much. Not much.
Okay.
A little bit, but not much. Yeah, so his pretty expensive ammo has got some surface rust to it.
This will be handled real fast like this.
No. Do not take the grinder to that.
That's not a grinder. That's a wire wheel.
Yeah, okay, well. But yeah, you're better off just coating it with WD-40, maybe putting a tarp
Okay.
or a piece of oilcloth
Because
or
this
something.
area
over it.
is exposed, even though it's semi-enclosed. It is.
Right, here in Seattle, I have learned the humidity is just as high as Florida, so we get surface rust on crab.
Yep.
The surface rust is really not harmful.
No.
It
And
just,
it's not causing pitting, major pitting on this
no,
one
no,
yet.
no.
So
But eventually it will.
yes.
Eventually it will. He'll take his very nice, expensive anvil.
Which I'll tell you what,
It's and
this 75-pound Trenton over here, which I should probably maintain a little bit better than I am.
I would, because it's always
there
nice
it
to
is.
have.
There it is.
Oh, the ones that broke. Yep.
Yes. Now, I could just go and probably weld that on.
Maybe. You'd have to take it apart.
You can see my touch mark.
Yep, yep.
It's my curly mustache.
Okay.
Here, for the folks in the studio audience. Where is it? I'm going to put this here so I can see it. It should be right there. I can't tell if you can see it in all the sunshine.
Yeah, the
Believe it or not, we
sunshine's
got sunshine today. That's
Thank
very,
God.
Put it in the shadow. Does that make it any better? Probably not.
Yeah, not really.
So,
Just it's
anyway.
it's broken there.
But what we were saying, I need to maintain this one a little bit better too, because this is a 75-pound anvil, and it's very capable. If your first anvil is a 75-pound anvil, you'll be doing fine. That's typically at or above what farriers use. Is a little
Yes.
75-pound anvil.
Yes.
But because it's 75 pounds and the stump that it's on isn't quite as heavy as that one, every time I would strike this anvil, everything around it would bounce. It just wasn't giving me back the power I was putting into it like this one does.
Right.
This one gives me back a lot more power than this Trent.
Well,
old
it
Trent
doesn't
anvil.
give it back to you. It lets you use it.
Yeah.
So you got the mass. You know, mass is mass is mass. If you're a science person, mass is, everything has mass. So the more mass you have, the less bounce you're going to get, which takes away your striking.
Yep.
So you don't want it to bounce. And of course, this anvil, because of its lineage,
all my tools, you basically give a twist as you're pulling it up.
you can hear that ring. That's a good ring.
Yeah, it's not as loud as it could have been.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very dense,
Yes.
and it helps absorb some of the strike.
Which here, go ahead.
Okay.
We'll take you over to the other one. Now we'll go over to this one. Hold on. I've deadened that one with magnets. But it doesn't give the same kind of bounce back.
Right. Yeah. Not nearly as much bounce back.
There, let me take the magnets off.
All that does is deaden the sound.
Yes.
Probably not
There you
as
go.
much of
Now
a
you do it.
difference.
That kind of kind of ear splitting.
Yes.
Whereas if I put this on there, for some reason, magnets have an impact on the
Or a
amount of
chain.
ring.
You can wrap a chain around it.
Yep.
And for those of you playing at home, that's called dwarf song.
Dwarf song.
Dwarf song.
Ah, that's where that comes
That's
from.
where that comes from.
Okay, so game name over here is Dwarf Song. I did not know that's where that came from.
My guess? No. That
No,
came from.
no, not you, Randy. That's right. Randy is the Dwarf Song. Yes. Randy is one of our other Rennies.
Another friend, yes.
That is actually a very good jewelsmith now.
An exceptional. And his wife does ceramics. Him and Barbara, Josie and Barbara do ceramics, and they do some incredible stuff. So if you're interested in ceramics or some of the crazy jewelry they do, go to dwarfsong.com. They got a website. They would absolutely love the business if you're interested in some of the things they do, and they do custom stuff if you have an idea. But yeah.
Now I know where that came from.
Yep.
I had no idea.
That's
So
door
Randy was the big blacksmith I would see all the time at the fair.
Right.
And then Cullen came along and started doing it. He's another one of our Rennie friends.
Oh, see all the rust?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was. I'll put it this way. My wife Christina knew this whole group. But
yeah.
She was this man is known as her other husband because she knew him before she knew me.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
And,
and look who she chose.
Right?
So.
Right? So I never really got to know Randy very well. He also is he has a very imposing form. He's a very big man. He's also a silent giant.
Yes. But
And
one of the most amazing artists
Yes.
that I have ever
So
met.
it was always fun to watch him, but I never felt like I could strike up a conversation with him.
But he's
Whereas
very
Cullen,
easy to talk to.
Whereas
But
Cullen
he
was
is
one that
easy to-
actually
He
became
is
very,
easy to talk to.
Is he?
Yeah, he's very easy to
Got
talk
it.
to.
Yeah. So, but Cullen was very approachable and
Yes,
just
Cullen
made it
is
very
very
easy to come in there and
And just play, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're one of the things that the group of friends that we have, and Jack included, is we like to teach what we know.
Yes.
Because realistically, this is a dying art. In a couple generations, this will be gone.
Yep.
And I don't like to see that. Does this have a real world application? Not really.
I mean, you still have industrial blacksmithing.
Oh, of course. But
it's such a different art. You can catch some of what we do here in industrial blacksmithing, but
Absolutely.
it is such a different
right.
animal.
But yeah, just let it sit.
Yep.
I shouldn't have rubbed it. Now my oil's
Well, no,
on
you
there.
did,
But,
you did all right because gave me reason to wipe off the excess.
but yeah, but blacksmithing as an art is going away.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we like to do is teach other people. Here you are. Do we have all the answers? Absolutely not.
I am not a journeyman.
No.
I'm an apprentice.
I'm working on my journeyman's list. I'm a good part of the way through it. There are still a few techniques that I have to learn to become successful. And I say successful in that my thinking is I have to do the technique multiple times.
Thank you, Stephen, for putting the link in there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. What is that?
Door song.
Door song. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, door song. Go give them a look. Buy some stuff. They would greatly appreciate the work.
Tell them that Jack and Earl sent you.
Yeah. They probably won't know who you are, but yeah, it helps.
They won't know who I am, no. But if they hear about Earl, they might remember.
They might. Yeah, they might remember.
So, with that, I think we'll call it a wrap. Thank you for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you
Stephen,
very much for joining.
I can't say thank you any more than I have, because this has been incredible to work with this. I'm so glad that
and thank you for inviting me
that
today.
your brother could come over here and,
Yes.
and teach me about this. That he could keep me company on an extremely interesting cross-country journey.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's for another show, and I think we'll have to collaborate.
Yeah. Well,
On that.
I will be happy to have you as a remote guest
Okay.
anytime.
Yep. We learned more about Rawlins, Wyoming, than we ever cared to know about.
Right.
So, and a particular hotel where the folks were absolute rock stars
Absolutely.
in making it easy for us because we were so far in the weeds.
And Sandy,
so far in the weeds.
Sandy probably doesn't know I'm about to say this, but she was
at
the
the
woman
U-Haul,
at
at
the
the
U-Haul
U-Haul place. Yes.
And I'll have to link her to the video when I send her the thank you gift that I am going to send her, because she made finishing the journey possible.
Yes.
Bent
without
over
her,
backwards to
without
make it
her,
all happen.
we'd probably still be in Rawlins.
Yes. So
Hate
I
and
have
life.
a lot of thanks to that woman, and and her husband who picked me up to make it so I didn't have to walk in the 40 mile per hour winds in the brisk cold that was there, and
But
and just
left me standing on the side of the road though.
he offered to let you squat in between the two seats.
I get it.
Okay,
But you didn't fight. You just said okay.
I wasn't gonna fight with you. You said.
We weren't that far from the hotel, thankfully.
But so when you see this, Sandy, my heart goes out to you.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, what I send you will, bring a little bit of joy to your day.
Because you absolutely made it possible for us to be here today, so I can get an airplane tomorrow to go back to Florida.
Yes, where he doesn't shiver so much.
Oh my God.
So, as I always say at the end, you're always welcome. Everybody is always a welcome around the light of my fire. If you're one of those people who can't say the same, sorry, but I'm not.
Yeah,
everybody is welcome around the light of my fire. Warm themselves up, learn something, share a bit of
or just sit
joy.
and bullshit with us.
Yeah,
we don't
share just a bit of joy. Love and light.
Love and light. Oh, that's a big word.